Okay, I guess good afternoon. I was about to say good morning, but it is good afternoon, everybody. Today is Wednesday, the 28th of January, and we are continuing on with our training of Keith Hall's business system. 2 weeks ago, we did the contact section. Last time we met, we did the invitation, and so this week we are following suit and working on the presentation piece. So what we talked about, actually, let me forward my slide once. So what we talked about before was, you have to have your contact list ready so that you are able to know who you're going to invite to your event. And then you have to have an invitation that's practiced and ready to go so that at any given moment when you pop in and see somebody that you can present them with that invitation. And then the next thing that has to be in place is you have to have a way that you are comfortable doing a presentation. So today we have two of us, myself and Mark Bowman, who is on the line, that are going to just go through a couple of tips and different ways that we do the presentation, because different people have different styles. And the thing that I just want to really stress is that there is not one style that works for everybody. There's key elements that you have to share in all of the styles, but you have to make this be your own. So listen to a lot of different presentations. There's tons of people that Ustream them. You can watch Wendy McGee. You can watch Barb and Dave Pitcock. Keith Hall has some, just a whole bunch of different styles of how they present the opportunity to people. And then you can hear how Mark and I do it, although we're not going to do a full presentation for you because I know it would take a really long time. We're just going to give you some key pieces. And really the thing we're going to focus on is that there's two different kind of segments. When you're meeting with somebody, generally you might be talking about the product or you might be talking about the business, and there is crossover, of course, between them. When you are doing a presentation, though, for me personally, there's a couple different types of presentations. You're going to have a little bit of a different conversation when you're talking to somebody one-on-one than you're going to have when you're doing a presentation in a room to, let's say, 40 or 50 people at an event that you might be having. So know that you're going to take these key elements and you're going to kind of tweak them for the audience. So that's pretty important as well. So following along, for those of you that haven't seen Keith Hall's business wheel, this is out on his website. It's ourglobalsuccessteam.com, and this is his business system that he teaches and talks about. We sort of skipped step 1, and we did the training on step 2, step 3, and now we're on step 4. So I will go back and do this. I was waiting to do this one until the new website was up and running so that we could do the training based on the new Youngevity beta site. And so as soon as that one is up and running, we will go back and do that step. So this is his wheel. They join. You help them to create the contact list. You teach them how to do their invitation, their presentation, the close, because that's super important, making sure that you close the deal at the end of your presentation, and then the strategy session. And that's really just figuring out what they want from the business and helping them to get on the wheel and do it again and do it again. So it's just a cycle you go through over and over and over again. So here's a few of the tips, and most of this is out on the Our Global Success Team site, but I just wanted to go through the training sort of in our own words. One of the most important things is that you never really want to do the first 5 meetings alone. I think that for most of us, we came from a direct sales business, so we're kind of used to this. You could probably just say 2 or 3 meetings, but a brand new person, for sure, that has never been in multi-level marketing or direct sales or anything, they're going to need to see 4 or 5 of these before they get it under their belt. But for those of us that have been around in this business, watch 2 or 3 of them with your upline, with somebody else that is in your area, and you should be good to go. And in the meanwhile, if you're not doing the meetings alone, how can you do the meetings? 2 popular ways, obviously, 3-way calls. We've been talking a lot about those, that you can call any one of your upline through the chain and ask them to get on the 3-way call with your potential person that wants to hear about the product or the business, and then having an in-person meeting with them. So it's okay to bring somebody along. Don't be nervous or intimidated or think that you don't look like you're smart enough or that you're not educated enough. It is completely, totally acceptable to have somebody with you. And in fact, a lot of times when you're doing it with multiple people, I think it gives more credibility to the whole system when you're saying, like, look, there's more than one of us that are doing this together. So think about that. And then, like I talked about a few minutes ago, you need to learn and listen from others. So watch those presentations from other leaders and check different styles, different techniques that fit your personality, and pull them together and put them into your unique presentation that you're giving to people. We're going to talk today about the components that you have to have in that presentation, but you have to use your own words and your own personality, just like you do in the invitation and just like you do when you're holding events. So, like I wrote on that last step, take the basics that we know work and add in your own spice. So here's the content. Really, you never want this presentation to go longer than 45 minutes, especially if you're talking to a crowd. Now, if you're meeting somebody for coffee, I mean, you're going to digress here and there, and it could take an hour, hour and a half because you're chit-chatting about things, or if you're meeting somebody over lunch. But if you're giving a presentation to an audience of, even if it's 6 people that came to your house, some couples or something, more than 45 minutes, and you're going to lose them. They're going to get tired, they're going to get overwhelmed, they're going to get bored, honestly. So present enough information, but don't try to tell them every single thing at once. Pique their interest, get them excited, get them started, but don't overwhelm them and paralyze them. This is something, I wrote new distributor warning. This is where you need to, pause and take a breath. They don't need to know every detail, but really it isn't just for new distributors. I am terrible for doing this. I like to spew way too much information because I get excited and I want to tell them everything. And I have to rein myself back. And one thing that I heard back, I don't even remember when I heard this, was I heard Barb Pitcock talking, and she was saying when she's on the phone that she will literally put her hand over her mouth to let the other person talk because she has this tendency to want to say more and say more, and I can see myself doing that. You just want to keep telling them all these great things, and instead of getting them excited, like we're excited, you're just getting them overwhelmed. So we have to just pause, take a breath, give them enough information that their interest is piqued, but not tell them every minutia, every little detail, so that they just, their eyeballs glaze over and they don't know what to do with the information that you've given them. So here are some tips about what to include in your presentation. Obviously, introducing yourself and your why. If you're doing this to an audience or a crowd, that's really important. If you're sitting down with your best friend at the dinner table, you aren't going to really need to introduce yourself per se, but you do want to still share their why. So this piece is going to be slightly adjusted depending on your audience. And again, this whole presentation is based on who your audience is. Like I said, if it's your friend or somebody from your family, you're going to have a little bit of a different introduction than you're going to share if it's a group of 30 or 40 people at an event that you're hosting. You want to talk about the company. You need to share Youngevity 90 for Life, even if this is just something that you're sharing with people that are in this for the photo preservation and the memory celebration piece. We always, always, always have to include Youngevity and 90 for Life because that is the core of our company. That's who bought us. That's what our core business is. And then introduce the concept of brands and the healthy lifestyle. So the reason that we're in this company is because it is a well-rounded, healthy lifestyle choice that we're selling to people. So you want to talk about the company, and then you're going to talk about the products either way. If there's somebody that's coming in from the product perspective or if there's somebody that's coming in from the compensation perspective, you still want to talk about a couple of the products. What you don't want to do is you don't want to tell them about every product and crisscross all over the place and overwhelm the heck out of them because you're going to shut down. So you want to make sure that the presentation is focused on the audience. So it's going to change slightly depending on who's there. As long as you have 90 for Life as your core, that's the most important. But for example, at a digital scrapbook retreat, obviously the products that I'm going to focus on, aside from the fact that I'm going to say I'm getting healthy with the 90 for Life, is I'm going to focus on the digital and maybe the traditional scrapbooking. And because I know that I have a huge group of women, I'm probably going to mention that we have fashion, jewelry, and beauty supplies. But if I was doing an event at a gym with a bunch of gentlemen in the audience, I would not be bringing up photo scrapbooking and mineral makeup per se. So you might want to be focusing on then the athletic packs that we have lots of things that support athletes. We have weight loss packs. They're at a gym, protein shakes. So you're going to change the products that you focus on in the presentation depending on your audience. Now, what if you have a mixed presentation? What if you have a group of people, like there's couples that come in, and you don't know if they're interested in health and fitness. You don't know if maybe they could be photo celebration people. You have no idea what their passion is. That's where you're focusing on the core products, the health, the 90s for life, because those appeal to everybody across the board. And then you just sprinkle in the fact that we have all of these different brands. So you have to adjust. In every one of you, I'd highly recommend that you have 1 or 2 products in all of the categories that you know pretty well and that you're comfortable with and that maybe you have a story about. You don't have to know every single product in every single one of the lines. That would be absurd to even think. There's so many of them. We have more than 2,000 things. But if you just go through and say, okay, you know what, I want to learn 1 or 2 things about every one of these brands, and that's all you need to know. And if they need to know more information, you can find more information out later. But just have, just a light knowledge base across the board. Know what Beyond Organic is. Maybe you know with the Swear of Eve cleanse. That's hugely popular right now. That's your thing that you know in Beyond Organic. If you're a guy, you don't need to dig deep into the mineral makeup line, but know that we have a mineral makeup line that competes with something called Bare Minerals. Those are the only words that you need to know, because if you say those to women, they know what Bare Minerals are. So, and if from a female perspective, get a couple things that you know that you can say to the gentleman, maybe about the Rebound being a replacement for Gatorade, or something like that, so that you have a few things that you can focus on different audiences. Now, the compensation, this is really important to talk about, especially with the business opportunity, but even if they're coming in just from a product perspective, you want to make sure that you at least mention the fact that there is an amazing compensation plan here, that they are not at all, forced into doing anything with it, but that they absolutely have the opportunity to take advantage of that. So I say light discussion, and the real reason for that is not that you don't want to get them excited about it, it's that you don't want to bore them and confuse them with math. If you start talking about all the different ways that they get coding bonuses and all the ways that they can earn residual income and all of that with 8% and 2% and $190 and $35, they're going to glaze over. That's a lot of numbers to share. So one of the things that I really liked that Keith had shared with me back last summer when we did a presentation at Paula Crossley's crop in Tennessee was he gave some just light numbers saying, generally speaking, you make about 10% commission off of everybody on your team. Now, of course, we know that you make 30% commission off of new customers. You might only make 2% commission off of somebody in your 6th line. You make $100 staff start, and you make this, and you make that. But if you're talking to somebody, you can't share all that with them or you're going to scare them. So giving them some generalities, and then once they decide they want to join and you get them in that strategy session, that's when you can go over the career plan in more depth. The other thing that you want to talk about in your discussion is the timing. So right now, I think all of us that are on this call and everybody that's training right now, the timing of this is incredible. We're in the momentum stage. I think I've heard lots of different varying numbers, so don't quote me on this one, but I think they said that we had 140% growth last year, and it's just continuing to grow. Now is the time, and this is something that right now you want to stress in your presentation, because you don't want to tell them, it's in, if you're not in now, then forget it, you can't join. But you want to stress the urgency that this is the time, if they get in, that they're going to have really quick success, because we're seeing that we are on that momentum moving on up right now. And then some testimonials. So having the testimonials, now you can plug those in your why. You can sprinkle the testimonials in throughout when you're talking about the product. You say, you know what, my upline had success with the weight loss products, and give the testimonial. Or I have a downline in this business that had great success with the bone and joint pack. Just going through and sprinkling those testimonials into the presentation. And again, the order of this isn't significantly important. You can switch the timing to talk about that right after the company. You can sprinkle the product in throughout the presentation. It isn't like these bullet points are like, you talk about this, you talk about this, you talk about this. This is the general things that you need to include in your presentation, and this is where I say your style is up to you. What you're the most comfortable about and how you can flow this all together is something that you're going to come up with on your own, and the more that you practice, the more that you're going to go, oh, I should have added this in here, or I should have changed this here. So, put this out as a guideline, not necessarily an outline. So here's a few more tips for you in doing this. The most important thing about this entire presentation is that it has to be from your heart. It has to be something that you feel passionately about, that it's real and it's you. It can't be my words. It can't be Mark Bowman's words. It can't be anybody else's words, Keith Hall's, Lisa Nelson, nobody else's words. It has to be coming from you. Now, there might be things that any one of us say that you're like, oh, yeah, that's totally me. That resonates with me. I know that's something that I would say. So take the gist of it and write it in the words that would come out of your mouth. And remember that emotions, your whole heart, is what sells, and the facts, which is all the stuff in the back office, is what justifies this. So again, sharing the comp plan and all of the numbers behind that is the justification, but touching on the emotions of the people is really what's going to sell somebody. And the emotions can be related to the product, they can be related to the income opportunity, they can be related to the social aspect of this. From the female perspective, most of our business that was built on the photo-related business was an emotional bond. I mean, we know that. We have people that come to our events that, quite honestly, don't even care if they finish their photo projects. They just want to hang out and socialize and be with us in a group. That was kind of an enlightening thing at my weekend retreat of how many of the people paid to do the scrapbooking the whole weekend and really didn't scrapbook at all and were perfectly fine paying $165 to spend the weekend with all of us to just chit-chat, have a retreat, buy some products, because they were shopping for sure. They were definitely buying products, but the emotional connection was more important to them than anything else in this business. So that's what they wanted out of it. So don't ever discredit, the piece that people join for emotional reasons, because they want to be part of a team. They want to be part of a group. They want to be part of a mission, of something that's bigger than just selling products or making money. And then finally, you have to ask for the close at the end. You have to ask for them to join. I know this can be the hardest part in the business. I can remember back when we did parties, and you would get done with your presentation and you'd say, okay, I'm going to be sitting over at this table for anybody that wants to shop, and everybody would then go socializing, and you'd be sitting on the table by yourself like, oh, is anybody going to come up to me here and buy anything? And then sometimes when they would come up, it would be really hard to close the conversation with, do you want to talk about this business? You would just sometimes take your order and not even say that there was an opportunity for that, because it's an obstacle to get over personally. But 9 times out of 10, they're not going to come running up to you and going, I want to join, yay, here I am. You're going to have to ask the question. And when you ask them, it's going to be a conversation that could progress into them saying, I need a little more time to think about it. You're going to have people that go, oh my gosh, I'm totally in right now. How do I sign up? And you're going to have people that go, oh, this kind of overwhelms me a little bit. I don't think so. And don't be intimidated. Don't be nervous about that. Don't be thinking they think you're a vulture or a crazy, because a lot of the people that say no, it's not the right time for them, and there's personal reasons behind it, and who knows, in 3 months, they might turn around and come back to you and go, you know what, I thought more about it. I had to really wrap my head around it, and I do want to hear more. I can't even tell you how many times over the last 15 years that I've been doing this that I would talk to somebody, and let's say I talked to 5 people in a room. Somebody would say yes right then and there, and I'd always be shocked about how many people are so quick to decide. And then the person next to them, it would take 4 years, and all of a sudden that person would go, I've been watching you for a really long time, and now I want to do this. But, if it's that's the right time for them, then that's the right time for them. If you're consistently getting new people on your list, and you're consistently inviting them to events, and you're consistently giving the presentation, your pipeline is going to be consistently full, so that people are going to spread out at all different times. And some people are going to, like I said, you're going to have a month where 6 people decide to say yes, and 2 of them were brand new, and 1 of them had been around for 10 years and finally just decided, it's time to jump off the fence. And a couple of them maybe had heard things for 2 or 3 months. They're going to be all over the board. Your job is just to keep presenting the information, letting them make the decision, and helping them to be guided to the choice that makes the most sense for them at this time. Because the thing that you don't want is you don't want to push somebody into doing something when it isn't the right time for them, because 1, they're going to get a bad experience, and 2, you're not helping them at all by forcing them to do something that isn't the right thing for them. that's one thing that I love about Youngevity is that there really isn't a lot of incentives tied to having people sign up for the CEO kits. Obviously, there's monetary incentives, but one of the things that I didn't like about our past job is how many times people could guilt somebody into buying the consultant kit because they needed it to earn a trip, or they needed it to promote, or they needed it for this, and their friend would go, oh, yeah, I'll do it. But they didn't really want to do it, and then they would feel guilty, and they would sign them up. That is just not the way to build a real business. You present them with the information, and you just let them make the choice, and when it's right for them, they will say yes. And it could be tomorrow, and it could be 10 years from now, but they'll say yes when it's right for them. So now that I've spewed on for much longer than I thought I was going to on that beginning part, I'm going to kind of share with you my style, and then we're going to go on to Mark's style. So for me, I come to the meeting, I'm in love with that little Youngevity Revolution brochure as an opening starter for me, because I'm not from the health industry. I mean, you guys, most of you that are on the call know that I come from the photo part. And so for me, that is a really nice brochure to open up the conversation about what 90 for Life is without overwhelming them with all of the different product lines. So that's the one that has the picture of Doc Wallach on it in a little circle, and then it has kind of his
Anna, this is Mark. The audio dropped off. I don't know if anyone can hear me or if you can hear me. Just wanted to let you know. I'm not sure if you dropped the call either. So if anybody else can hear, hold on while we try and figure this out. We'll be back in just a second.
Hello?
There you are, Anna. We can hear you now. Very good.
Good.
Okay.
Grief. My phone totally died while I was talking.
All right.
So sorry about that. I don't even know where I cut off all of a sudden.
I can tell you. I can tell you. So you started to describe that what it's like when you come to a meeting with someone and you love the brochure, and just after that, that's when you cut out.
Okay, so you guys heard me talking about the Youngevity Revolution brochure?
Just briefly.
Okay, so all right, I'll just start over from that
Why
point.
don't you
So
why don't you start over and go through that again, please?
Okay, thank you, Mark, for covering for me.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I come to the meeting with the Youngevity Revolution brochure. For me, I think I really enjoy that brochure because I came from the photo industry and I don't have a lot of experience in this industry. So I like that brochure because it's short, sweet, concise. It gives the whole story of Doc Wallach. It talks about the plant-derived minerals, about how our soil is depleted, and then at the very last page it shows all of the different brands that we represent. So for me, it's a really quick little 6-pager that isn't overwhelming, that says why 90 for Life is the core piece of our business and how we're integrated in with all of these different products. And then I'll bring one additional brochure depending on their interest. So if it's somebody that's meeting with me because of the scrapbooking, then I'll bring Heritage Makers and our Memories for Life idea book. If it's somebody that's meeting with me for oils, I'll bring that personal care catalog. If it's somebody that says that they want to lose weight, I'll bring the Healthy Body Challenge brochure that talks about all of the different healthy body packs. So I wouldn't bring one of everything, though. You might have them in your bag in case they change their mind and they're like, I know we decided to meet about weight loss, but I really want to hear about the oils. But don't pull all of them out and splatter them all over the table, because it's like they're just going to look at it all like it's way too much information. The other thing you always want to have with you, again, it doesn't matter if you're meeting with them for anything. You have to have that Doctors Don't Lie CD. It is the most powerful tool we have in our entire kit of tools to use. That's something that's really, really important. Even if you don't hand it to them until the end of the conversation and you say, you know what, take this and listen to it on your way home. Just make sure that you just take a deep breath and hand it to them if you're nervous about it. That right there is it's just our best-selling tool. So that, I have a business card. Have a paper application or your laptop. You can buy the paper applications in 25 packs in our back office. And the reason I say that is because, sometimes it's not conducive to crack open your laptop and sign somebody up right there, and it's easier just to fill it out. I prefer to have the person, when they're ready to do it right then. Don't ever say, yeah, go home and sign up, or I'll call you tomorrow and we'll sign you up. If they're ready to do it, you do it right that second, because something could happen. They might get cold feet. They might talk to their wife or their husband and start questioning things. And there's something about, if they're in the moment right then, you do it right then. So if you don't have the paper application, like I said, it's in the back office. You can buy them in 25 packs. You can do it on your laptop. You can do it on your phone if you download the app for your phone as well. And then having a notepad and pen is always a good thing to keep with you in case they have some questions that you can't answer. So you can write those down and get back to them. Or you might want to write down a couple notes just about what they're excited about, or what their goals and dreams are, or anything like that. So for me, I talk about my story first, then I talk about the company, some favorite products. I go into why do I. This is about the timing. I share the 2 different opportunities, which one of them is the $10 plus a $150 order in an auto ship, and then the other one is the CEO pack. I talk about the compensation, and then I call it the call to action, but that's more or less the, all right, are you ready to do it? So I'm not going to go through my story at all right now, because I think most of you already know most of my story, and we don't have enough time for me to do that. But I'm just going to give you sort of the gist of what I would say when I talk about the company history. And again, you guys know me. I don't have a history at all. I didn't know who Dr. Wallach was before this. I wasn't into health and wellness at all. So I don't fake that. I don't talk about the fact that I've been interested in health and wellness for 20 years. I mean, I don't say stuff like that. I tell them the truth and, what this company is. And so I bridge my story to, I came in through Heritage Makers, and last January we were bought by a health and wellness company, and I truly thought there's no way that I'm going to sell anything that has to do with vitamins. And slowly through osmosis and through hearing all of these different people talk about it, and knowing that I struggled with my weight, and I'm getting older, and I'm sure that many of these things are going to be more prevalent in my life, I started to listen. And what I learned about the company is that Dr. Wallach has been on this mission for more than 40 years. I mean, he has a lot of experience. He's dedicated his whole life to improving the lives of other people by promoting good health and awareness of how these vitamins and minerals impact your body. He's published 75 times. He's in the Smithsonian for his findings in zoo animals. He was a veterinarian before, and he's a naturopath now. I have this CD that I'm going to give you called Dead Doctors Don't Lie that can tell you a lot more information about him. But I want you to know about Youngevity. And the thing that I'm most excited about with Youngevity is that they have grown from 16 million in the past 16 years to 140 million in the past 2 years. They're speeding along really fast. They're publicly held. They have no debt. They do everything with cash purchases. They're a solid foundation. They have a solid foundation, and they're projected to be at $5 billion in the next 5 years. I mean, they have hit that momentum stage. So in the presentation, I would then pull out whatever the product was that I was most excited about, that I was going to share with them. I would first, of course, talk about 90 for Life. So I would, maybe flip to the page in that brochure, or if they had told me that's what they wanted to hear about, I might have had the pamphlet with the Healthy Start Pack on it. And so I would say that 90 for Life is their core product. This is what the whole company is built around. It's the foundation of the company. Our company is based on a healthy lifestyle model, and this is the core product. We've expanded into all of these other brands, and it's definitely working in favor for us because we have, many more people that we can talk to in these other brands. But the core product and our mission is that you give your body the right stuff, and everything is your body's going to take care of healing itself. It's an incredible thing. So I talk about 90 for Life for a second, and then talk about whatever the other product is. If the person came to me because they wanted to talk about essential oils, then I would pull out maybe the essential oils catalog, and I would talk about the AromaShare Club, because the AromaShare Club is an amazing opportunity for people to get acquainted with many different oils in all of our different categories of health concerns and aromatherapy. So I'd pull that out and maybe share for a second about aromatherapy and the AromaShare Club. If they came to me about scrapbooking, then I would maybe pull out a storybook that I had in my bag, or a photo panel, or something really small that I could say, like, I'm passionate about this because I love to share the stories of my family. This is how I got in this industry. You kind of just pull whatever you're most excited about on the product piece. So I'm not going to go into that too much because I think you guys get how, your own story and how you would talk about the product. But then I would go into the longevity piece. And what I stole this from Keith, and I find it's, something that I like to talk about, is that I say, I have a leader that is above me. His name is Keith Halls, and he's been in this industry for a very long time. And what he taught me was that there's 4 pillars of success in a business, and that's what you check for when you want to join a company, or you look at the products that you want to start to purchase. You have to look at their leadership, their products, their compensation, and the timing. Well, I've already told you that the timing is incredible and that we're in this momentum stage right now. I've already shared the products that I'm very excited about. So I want to share with you a little bit now about our leadership team and about the compensation plan. And I say, the leadership team is handpicked from all around the world. We don't just have a couple people that are from the United States. We have people from all around the world that are looking at products that are working for people in different kinds of demographics. So I like that because, there's things that are working in different countries that maybe, we need to be using here. And then I would go into the concept of our compensation plan, very light, saying, you're not here to spend money. You're here to earn money, or you're here to buy your products for free. Even if you're doing this for a casual business, you're not really in it for the income opportunity, you still want to get your products for cheap or for free, right? So you find the product that you're in love with, and we call it transferring purchases. You transfer purchases from your current budget into longevity. So you're buying from yourself instead of the store, and you're having this mall shopping experience online, sort of like Amazon, because we have products from all these different product lines that support a healthy lifestyle. And when you have something that we call an auto ship, in its programmed differently every month, you can choose whatever you want in it. From month to month to month, it can change. When you have an auto ship set up and your your order is more than $50 in the month, your shipping is completely free. So you're saving money. Every month it's coming to your doorstep on a monthly basis, and you get whatever you're passionate about dropped right in your auto ship. Now, there's 2 ways that you can join into this. If you are just somebody who wants products and you don't want to hear about the business opportunity, I totally respect that, and I'm going to share with you these 2 different opportunities. One of them is that you pay $10 to become a distributor. We help you to set up that initial order, and we get you set up on this auto ship. We recommend that you do it for the $150 because that is a position where you actually can earn some compensation, and you're in line to have opportunities for growth if you so choose, but that is not a binding thing. It doesn't have to be $150. It does, however, doing this $10 give you a lifetime membership to all the longevity products that you're going to fall in love with, and like I said, if you're over $50, you're going to have no shipping. Then you're going to get this referral fee for every single person that decides to do what you're doing and join with a few of these different products. So, you might not be getting rich off of those couple friends that decide, oh yeah, I want to try what you're trying, but you're going to get paid enough that your own products are probably going to be free. The second opportunity is the CEO distributor, and that one is $500, and you're getting more than $500 in products. It's not only a great deal to get a lot of products to sample, but it is the way to start your business. It is a fantastic kit, and we have 9 different ones that you can choose from depending on what your passion is. And in that, you've got yourself lined up to have the best opportunity in compensation. I don't go into the whole compensation at this time because they can, like I said, get really overwhelmed. What I'll say to them is if you do choose to do the CEO pack, just know that you're going to be earning on an average about 10% of what everybody on your team is buying for the month. And we have hundreds of distributors on our team that are earning $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month. If you decide that you want to earn an extra $500 a month, that is very, very doable. And I might even say to them right then, what is your goal? How much would you like to see? And if they say $200 or $300, then okay, this is something that I can work with you right now. If they say, I want to earn $10,000 a month, you're like dancing in your seat because you have somebody that really wants to kick it up for a business. If that person looks at you and says, oh my gosh, you just scared the crud out of me, I don't want to do a business, you need to reel yourself back and go, oh my goodness, absolutely, I overwhelmed you. You don't have to do a business at all. Just try the product. And, no commitment from that perspective. You have to look at your audience and gauge what their reaction is to what you're saying, and you might have to turn it around a little bit. And then when I do the light piece on the compensation, then I go to the call to action and say, you don't ever want to say, what do you think? Because if you say, what do you think, they're going to go, I think I need to think about it. Or, maybe they're going to tell you some objection. So your recommended way of wording it is to say, what was something that excited you about the conversation that we had today? What's the thing that you thought was the most exciting? So that they look at something positive in the conversation, and then you can gauge how the rest of it goes from there. And then you go to the close. This is where you have to go to the close and say, okay, so are we ready to sign you up? And see what they say, and then go on from there. So that's kind of the gist of, my 10-minute version of how I would do this conversation. Obviously, I don't have a script that I read from. I just have in my head that I want to talk about the company, my favorite products, why Youngevity, the opportunities. And I don't talk about the preferred customer opportunity unless the person has said to me, absolutely not, I don't want to do this. Then I'll say, well, there is an opportunity where you can just buy the product. I just share these two choices, $10, $150, and an auto ship, or the CEO Mega Pack. And if they absolutely don't want to do them, then there's an opportunity for a preferred customer. And, some people say, well, why wouldn't you tell them that? What if they find out later? Well, of course they're going to find out later. I mean, we're not trying to hide anything from them. These are just the best ways to join our company. And in the conversation, this is the way that we lead the conversation. And if they decide they don't want to do it, then you give them the other alternatives. But this is what we're selling. So this is why we're leading with these opportunities. So now that I've babbled on for 40 minutes, we are going to pass it over to Mark so that he can show you. I spelled your name, Mark, wrong. I'm so sorry. There's a U that's supposed to be here. Bowman. Sorry about that. So we're going to have Mark share with you how he would, or your style, and give them some of your tips and so forth. All right?
Okay, thanks, Anna. First of all, I want to thank you for having me on the call. I think I'm really excited just because I have an opportunity to work with you, and I have an opportunity to work with this seasoned team of direct sellers and marketers that used to be with that other company that are now tearing it up with Youngevity. So that's what I'm excited about. So I'm just going to take maybe a minute and a half and give everyone a little bit of background on me if you don't know me. My claim to fame is my wife, Andrea. She was with that other company for 23 years, did very well. All I was able to do was to carry boxes. And even though I was excited about it, I really couldn't get involved beyond that. So I was her biggest cheerleader. And when she joined Heritage Makers, and then they were acquired by Youngevity, she decided, unbeknownst to me, hey, let's transfer purchase. Made a lot of sense when she explained it, and that was let's transfer purchase of our expensive vitamins we were already taking from another company. Let's transfer that over to Youngevity. And so we did. And then some things started happening. I listened to a few CDs. I started to take those products, and then I noticed personal, physical changes for me that I just got so excited about. Now, my background was in chemistry. Now I'm a business owner. We own a Verizon store, and yet I'm most excited about Youngevity right now. And so I've set out to be a student of trying to learn how to present this, because I don't want to just go and make mistakes and cause problems. You've all heard the phrase, practice makes what? Perfect, right? And problem is, if I'm out there practicing a bunch of stuff and I'm setting patterns in place, and I don't believe practice makes perfect, because if I haven't studied and if I haven't learned from others who are doing what works and what has worked, then it's going to be practice makes permanent, and I'm going to make permanent some habits that really aren't the best. So it's been kind of my mission over the last couple of months, trying to learn how to present this to people. And I agree with Anna 100% in that it has to be your style, and it really has to be you that presents. So let me just give you kind of my 2 cents on how I present, and I'll give you 2 examples as well. One happened yesterday, and one was actually last week. So here we go. So basically, when I talk to people about longevity, I want to talk to them and just have a conversation. I don't want to prejudge them, and I just want to try and identify with their needs, really. The conversation is strictly just a conversation, because by nature, I'm not a real salesman. And I don't want to try and convince someone. I don't want to try and talk them into anything. I just want to share my excitement about the product and share my excitement about the opportunity. So that's my goal. So when I sit down and have a conversation with them, I really want to show them that I'm interested in them. And really, that's it. I just want to be interested in them. And we all heard that we have a mouth and 2 ears, and we're supposed to use them proportionally. And so this is a good time to really be interested in them, rather than for me to just babble on. So my goal, rather than be a salesman, is to be a sorter. I want to sort people. If I try and convince them, and I actually do convince them, I might have won the battle, but I lost the war. And I don't want to do that. So how's that accomplished? Well, when I'm in a conversation with people, I try and ask them some questions. And I like to ask them questions about themselves, because people like to talk about themselves. So I ask them questions, and I try to ask specific questions about their family, their job, their passions, and their dreams. And depending on how open the person is, some people are really open and they just they spit it all out. So I may just make some notes, mental notes, or on a sheet of paper of what those dreams are, and then they oftentimes talk about finances, especially after the new year, trying to save more, etc. So I'll make a few notes of those. And based on those answers, it'll take me down 1 of 2 paths. So the first example was yesterday. I was at work, and a friend came in who I haven't approached at all about this, and he made a couple comments to me about getting in shape, and then he asked me what I was doing and if I was working out more, and he made some observations that I had changed a bit, and I piqued his interest. And
you lost a bunch of weight and you're skinny now. You can say it.
Okay, I lost some weight. Thanks, Anna. Actually, since July, I probably lost 15 pounds.
Yeah, you look fabulous, by the way, so congratulations on that. You should be proud.
Thank you very much. So, it's interesting because he brought it up. He goes, "Are you working out a lot?" And I said, "No." He goes, "Are you running?" And I said, "To the refrigerator." But so the interesting thing was it just piqued the conversation. So I started to ask him questions, and he responded with what he wanted to do. And then he said, "I want to hear more about that." And I said, "That's great. Let's get together." So at 2:15 today, I'm getting together with him. And so I'm going to focus with him on product. That's what he wants. He wants to make a change in his lifestyle, and he wants to make a change in his health. And there we go. So it really takes the work, or the fear, I guess. Maybe that's a better word. It takes the fear out of it, because he's just interested in getting healthier. But, as I listen to their answers, their dreams, their passions, and especially if they mention money, then I want to show them a way that they can have some greater financial stability, how they can gain some additional income. And sometimes it's got to be part-time, and for some people it's going to be full-time. But what my goal then at that point, after listening to them, is I try and tie their dreams back to what longevity could bring them. And then I kind of spell out the 4x4 matrix for them and show them that with buying CEO packs and the $150 auto ship that Anna already mentioned, so I won't go through that, what that will generate financially. And again, always going back, trying to tie that financial gain to their dream to show how that could work together. And the goal is to just reinforce that. And I've tried to be a student of this presentation because I don't want to put in place bad patterns and practice makes permanent. I want to practice things. Does that make sense, Anna? I want to practice things well before. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, the other thing too is making goals. You know, if we make the goal of this high lofty thing I want to be, and you pick the title, that sometimes can seem so far off. So what I want to do is I want to make my goal a routine goal, so that I practice and I study so that my routine becomes the reward. So that over time, as I present this to people over and over and over again, that I'm rewarded by just having that, I don't want to say expertise, I guess, but I want to have that comfort level with being able to present the YGY story and the YGY opportunity. And so as I go through this and I explain that 4x4 matrix and I tie it back to them, I practiced it, and it typically has gone very well. Last week we had a room of 8 people and went through this whole thing, tied their dreams, asked them about their dreams, tied it back to the compensation plan, and basically what it boiled down to was this last statement, and it was, if you were willing to join us, how many hours in a week could you commit? And then they throw out a number, and once that number is thrown out, I want to show them my commitment to them and say, okay, if I were to actually join you and help you reach your dreams, if I will work with you and help you reach your dreams, you want to do this. And again, it's a conversation, and it's a simple question. And if they say no, fine, I'm a sorter. I've sorted them. Maybe they will use product. If they say yes, I actually reach out my hand, shake their hand, and say, let's do this. Let's get you set up. Let's get your CEO pack. Let's get that auto ship going, etc. And let's start making your list and go for it. So I think in either scenario, whether it's a person purchasing product or a business builder, the key is that auto ship. We don't want to bring a ton of people into longevity just to buy a CEO kit at one time, and that's it. And then they fall away, and then it gives us all a bad name. We want to build in a way that's going to have people using the product every month. They're going to transfer their purchase, all the myriad of thousands of products that we can purchase, so that there's stable residual income. And as we join people to help them acquire their dream, then ours are going to be met along the way. So our reward is going to be in that routine, daily practicing, learning, and hey, it's going to pay off. So that's kind of mine in an overview. Obviously, it wasn't the full-blown presentation because we don't have a lot of time here, but thank you, Anna, for allowing me to do that. And if you or anyone else has questions, I'd be happy to answer them at any time, now or even after the call.
I'm going to put you on the hook for a second and just give us your testimony. Like, pretend that I was a
somebody that wanted to know, like, why do you love Youngevity so much? So just give me your 2-minute why you love Youngevity so that people can hear it from somebody else's perspective. I mean, most of the people that are on the phone right now have heard me talk about, why I love it a million times, but I want to hear some other ones. So share with us.
Okay. Well, let's see. I'll give it to you in 2 different ways. I'll start with the opportunity, and then I'll tell you about the product. Okay. Opportunity-wise, I went to Michigan State University. I got a bachelor's degree. I worked my tail off to do that. Ended up becoming a teacher, was a chemistry and math teacher for 27 years. And it required an incredible amount of study to do that. Had to go back, got a master's degree. Again, huge amount of time study. Financial gain, it's pretty well capped for the educators out there. There wasn't a lot of growth, and I could be awesome, or I could be poor, and I still wouldn't be able to change my financial outlook. So I pulled the plug on that after 27 years, rolled the dice, took out a bunch of savings, and said, hey, I'm going to be my own boss. I'm going to buy a business. And so I threw down a ton of money, Andrea and I did, to buy a franchise. We bought a Verizon franchise because they've got everyone wants a cell phone, and, it's going to be great. Well, basically what I did was I put everything at risk on the line. The financial gain is not great. There's some potential, but it's a challenge. It's a challenge, and the liability is high and the risk is high. And when I looked at both of those scenarios, one, I loved my job as an educator, but the ceiling was kind of capped. Now, as a business owner, it's great. I like that too, but the liability is high, the risk is high, and there is actually a ceiling there too. And with Youngevity, there's a proven system, and there's no cap on the income, and the capital outlay is small. Frankly, if you buy a CEO kit, and then you have 4 people come in and also CEO, you are money to the good. You're $20 already to the good. We had to lay down a lot of money for that store. So this to me is a no-brainer in terms of an investment for a business. As products, I transferred what I was doing and tried some different products. I tried Pollen Burst. That was that was the hook for me. I mean, that was my gateway drug into Youngevity. It was the best because I was a napper. I used to nap all the time, and I used to drink soft drinks to keep me going, and Pollen Burst kind of helped me from that. And then the Healthy Body Pack, along with all the different drinks, are really the core of what I take and what I really enjoyed. And then I've tried the Swirl Bronze Cleanse. Actually, I'm doing it right now. I'm on my 3rd time, and it is just an amazing, amazing thing. So I'm looking at the clock here, but the results of using the product best for me was summed up by what Theo Ratliff said in the CD that he has out there on Dead Athletes Don't Lie, and he had one little phrase, and he said, "Take it like it's food." Mm-hmm. Take it like it's mm-hmm. food. And Rhonda Anderson said something on a call in July when we were driving across country. She was talking about someone who complained about the taste, and her response was, "Quit being a baby. Just take
She
it."
said that to me multiple times. Like, I agree. I mean, she has, because it's right. And you get used to it, I think, too. The more that you drink it, you start to actually crave it. It's crazy. Like, if I don't have my Tingy Tangerine, I'm like jonesing for it. I have to get it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of a little bit of my story, in a nutshell. But I take it like it's food, and I've noticed great health benefits. I feel great, and I'm excited about the opportunity, and I'm in school again. I want to be a good student of this, so that when I practice, I make it permanent. And what I make permanent are good habits in presenting. I don't want to be a salesman. I want to be a sorter, and I just want to share it with different people. So that's kind of my mode right now, and I'm going to tweak it as time goes on, but that's where I am today.
All right. Well, thank you, Mark. We appreciate your sharing on that. And then to wrap up our call, I just want to give you guys some last steps. And those are, obviously, we want to pick the style that works for you. You can combine some different people's styles, make up your own variation. Just make sure you have those key points in your presentation. And, you might want to write it out the first couple times and kind of tweak it until you get it to a point that you can remember it in your head. Practice it. Share it with your sponsor. Practice it some more. And I highly recommend inviting a friend to listen and give you some feedback. Share it with somebody and go, hey, you know me. Does this sound like me? Does this sound like something I would say? And bounce it off to somebody so that they can, somebody that's not in the business, somebody that, just can give you a valid, open-minded perspective and go, oh, you sound kind of like a salesperson, or, oh my gosh, I would have never thought you sounded like a salesperson. So you'll get really good feedback from your trusted friends to tell you that. So that is our call for today. I thank you so much, Mark, for helping us with this, and thanks for everybody who was on. It is recorded, so I will post it out on the Team Ignite fan page for everybody to share. And like I said, we have the contacts, the invitation, and now the presentation. So use these recorded webinars and share them with your new team members so that they have the training as well. Thanks so much, everybody, and have a great afternoon. Bye.